Chefs of Reddit, what was the most ridiculous excuse a customer had for sending back a meal? When I was a kid I worked as the shift manager at a Haagen-Dazs dip shop. It was on one of the busiest streets in town, and in the summer we would have lines out the door all day. Most of our customers during these periods were tourists. This is important, because we never really worried about losing their repeat business. One gentleman ordered an elaborate quadruple scoop banana split with oodles of everything. I obliged and whipped up the fucking S. Diabetes of banana splits complete with sprinkle, covered spires of whipped cream delicately drizzled with hot fudge and caramel. This thing had Oreo bits, brownie crumbles, Heath bar chunks. I'm talking the fucking works. Anyway, after I've completed this culinary masterpiece, it turns out with all those goodies my creation was almost $15 and Jude was not having it. I pointed to the huge board behind me displaying the prices of all of these delicious items this man had purchased, and told him I would get in trouble if I gave any more than a 10% discount. But he just refused to pay, so right there in the middle of a scorching hot summer day in an ice cream shop full of tourists and their kids, I held up this magnificent work of art, enough frozen goodness for at least 3 people, and offered it up for sale for $3. Needless to say, some dude with his kids right behind the original customer grabbed it right up and shared it with his family. Dude was livid, so I explained that he ordered a custom sundae the way he wanted it, and I sold it as a second-hand sundae that may not have been the way the purchaser wanted it. All in all, the whole thing costs the company pennies, and look on this asshole's face was priceless. Woman orders fries for her and her friend after church. I bring fries. Oh, these are too cold. We want new fries. I go make the fries myself, cook them longer than normal and immediately serve them after taking them out of the fryer. They were steaming still. The woman looks at it, touches it, and I shit you not says, "Oh, these are ice cold." Exact words. Had to get the manager to deal with it. I was working at Dairy Queen, not necessarily a chef, but I made some damn good blizzards. Anyways, this lady comes through drive-thru screaming that she wanted a small Oreo blizzard. No big deal. When I handed it out, she jabbed at it with her spoon and looked at it like it was a dead mouse. She stated, "The Oreos are too pulverized. I want another." Bitch, the Oreos come pre-shredded. Whatever they cost us $25 to make, so I make her another one. Mixing it for about half a second, leaving massive chunks of Oreo on top and barely mixed in. I hand it out, and she said it looks perfect. Her ulterior motive? She wanted the mistake for free. She asked, "Well, what are you going to do with that other one? Can I have it, since you can't give it to another customer?" I said, "I'm sorry, the Oreos are too pulverized," and threw it away right in front of her. In my table waiting days, I had a guy eat his entire 14-ounce prime rib except for the fat. He had made a pile of the fat on his plate and asked me to weigh it so he could have a pro rata refund equivalent to the weight of the fatty bits. For those who don't know, roasted prime rib contains a ring of fat in the middle and is usually served with some fat at the tip. People enjoy eating the fat with the meat. Kind of off topic, but it might fit in here. My brother-in-law owns a restaurant in Chicago. Some gypsies came in and ordered everything on the menu. Twice. There was about 20 people in the group. The bill came, and instead of paying it, the gypsies offered to straighten out all the dings and dent in their pots and replace or tighten all the handles on them. He was not happy with the offer and held them captive till they ended up paying, mostly in coins. I have a few edits for this after speaking with my brother-in-law from Italy now living in Chicago. The term gypsy is not a slur. For example, Roma equals African American, gypsy equals black. Gypsy does not equals N-word. The gypsies did not literally order the entire menu twice. 18 to 20 people ordered all of the appetizers on the menu and each person ordered a $35 plus steak dinner with alcohol. The gypsies did actually end up fixing the pots and pans, as well as paying in coins. They wanted all of the pots and pans at once. My bro-in-law gave them one pot at a time, and when one returned fixed, he would give them another one to fix. This took the gypsies 15 to 20 individual visits until all pans were fixed up. He knew if he gave them all at once he'd either never see them again or there would be a ransom on them. My brother-in-law wants you all to know that anyone saying gypsy is a slur will now be referred to as Roma here, so you will shut the fuck up and stop sneaking and stealing. He suspects you are gypsy yourself. He also wants you to know gypsies are a fringe-dwelling mud subculture. His words, not mine. Okay, this isn't the same thing, but still completely ridiculous. I worked at an Italian restaurant as a waitress for a short time as the customer sucked. This lady, in her 40s, ordered a Hawaiian pizza and pitched a fit saying how we got her order wrong. I asked her what was wrong with it, and she said it wasn't a Hawaiian pizza and the toppings were wrong. I looked at it, and it had diced tomatoes, pineapples, and ham. Exactly what the menu stated. Showing her this, she said, "What are you talking about? These are yellow. Pineapples are orange." Confused, I got my manager and he tried explaining that pineapples are quite yellow, not orange. But if she didn't like it, she can order something else on the house. She got mad and said no, that she wanted this, but with the right pineapples. She started explaining what they looked like. I said, "Wait, do you mean oranges?" As she completely described oranges. She said no, pineapples, and started describing oranges again. At this point, I take my phone out, Google oranges and pineapples and show her. She points at the oranges and yells at the top of her lungs, "Yes, those, I want those." My manager told her we do not have those, and she can either pick something else, or eat what she has. She left. Alright, server here, this happened to me last night. I work at a restaurant, where we offer a grilled 2 pounds lobster for $60. Hefty enough, but you can also get it stuffed with crab meat and breadcrumbs for an additional $10. So, a woman at my table last night inquired about the additional price, and goes, well, I'd love to get the stuffing, but I'm not going to run up the bill that much." I told her I completely understood, smiled, and ordered the simply grilled lobster. As it turns out, the kitchen made a mistake, and prepared the lobster with the additional stuffing anyways. I brought it down to her, and explained to her that there would be no additional charge, since it was the kitchen's mistake, and to enjoy. She eats the entire lobster, and then waves me over. "Yee, I know this had the stuffing and everything, but that's just not what I ordered, and I'd like them to remake it for me. I'm just not very full, because it was mostly breadcrumbs." I told her politely that it's exactly the same amount of meat, just with breadcrumbs and crab added, and she said then that it seemed like we had removed a lot of the lobster to fill with breadcrumbs. At this point my manager came over and assured her this was not the case. Still, she demanded that we make her another. She started making a real fuss about how this wasn't what she ordered, and that the enhanced version of the dish left her hungry. Needless to say, the kitchen was pissed. We remade it, didn't charge her for the second one, and even tried to compare dessert to keep the bitch happy. And what did she do after we kissed this much ass? Stiffed me on a $140 tab, making sure to write on the bill the service was horrible, because I think she picked up on our disgust at her lack of tact. Fun times. Where I work, people will often ask for their undercooked burgers to be remade. It's normally no big deal, but every once in a while you'll get a ridiculous customer. This one time, a customer came up to the counter and told us their burger was undercooked and demanded we recook it. Unfortunately, they decided not to tell us until they were 3/4 done with the food. So my manager happily obliged and had their burger remade. After it was finished, he cut the burger into fourths and gave the customer a fresh quarter of a burger. Well done. The look on their face was justice. When I was younger, I was a cook for a really popular Denny's. It was basically the cult spot to go to. Wedding, Denny's after. Proms, Denny's after. You get the idea. At the time I had bright pink hair, something to keep in mind. Now, it's tapering down a bit. It's around 1 or so it's before bar rush. So my other cook for the shift took a break, leaving just me. One of the waitresses come back saying that one of her customers found a hair in her French toast. I saw the plate. Everything had been eaten aside from 2 little pieces, with a long black hair between. Now, I made her a new order. French toast, bacon, hash browns, and brought it back to the table. As I put it down, I said, "Here is your remade order. I would like to point out that your waitress has short blonde hair. I removed my hat. I have pink hair. And you have long black hair. Conveniently the same color as the hair you found. Next time you want free food, go to a fucking soup kitchen." And went back to my line. My night manager and GM were both huge stoners at the time and thought the whole thing was hilarious. Obligatory not a chef. My mom, when she was a waitress at a diner, had a regular who would come in for Sunday lunch every week. She would send back the meal every time. As in literally every time, and she would make up lame excuses. It got to the point where my dad, the chef at the diner, would just hold the same plate in the back and send it back out to her. She would accept it every time. When I worked at a restaurant in Cincinnati, Ohio throughout high school, I got to see some interesting things. I worked at a family-owned restaurant like Emo's Mexican Food. It was a Tex-Mex place that was good food for $10 meals, or whatever. Anyway, this guy got a taco salad, so a lettuce base, the meat, onions, beans, tomatoes, the dressing and cheese. Then you added whatever you wanted on top for the extras. Well, it was a really hot day in the summer and this guy got takeout. Very standard order at the beginning of my shift. I made the food. So towards the end of my shift, I get a complaint. In like WTF, I didn't think I had messed up. The manager says for this guy to come back in, and we were going to access what we did wrong. And if we messed up, refund this guy. He shows up with the taco salad that had been sitting in his car for hours. The time on receipt was close to 4 hours old. The lettuce was soggy, the cheese melted, and in the container it was in was watery. This douche had this thing obviously sitting in his car for hours. He expected us to refund his money and give him a free fresh salad. We say no, it was his own fault. If he had taken it anywhere and ate it within an hour or anything, it would have been perfectly fine. He proceeds to throw a temper tantrum. Mind you, this is a 35-ish-year-old man. He finally concedes to us not giving him free food, walks towards the door with his gross salad, says in a loud voice for the whole dining room to hear trash cans full, opens his salad and dumps it on the floor and walks out, like he got us back. What a dick that guy was. Trash can was like half full too. To add another story, one time the owner made a meal wrong for a customer. Usually we replace all incorrectly made orders. This big woman had ate almost all of her meal and found a tiny onion. She got a meal, so you got multiple dishes, and brought them all back, even thought here was only an onion and the almost finished salad. She wanted everything replaced in to-go containers. The owner said no, and she threw the food at him. He was on the register and now covered in food. He stood there, looking at her, and said happy. She stormed out. Once upon a time, I worked at Pizza Hut. Customer, I would like a meat lover's pizza with no meat. At that time, that would mean she'd only have sauce and cheese. And this pizza would cost more. A more expensive cheese pizza. Here's your cheese pizza, ma'am. I didn't want a cheese pizza. I wanted a meat lover's pizza. She did this many times. Stealing this story from a server friend of mine. Horrible woman comes in and orders the mussels. After my friend brings the plate out, the woman claims that the kitchen stole the meat out of the shells. My friend tries to explain that live mussels are placed in the pan, so it is not possible that there are more shells than meat pieces. The woman then spreads out the shells and meat on the tablecloth to prove her point. Discovered she was wrong and stormed out. The awkward part was that the woman was at a table of 3 other friends who were mortified and paid for the meal with a huge tip. We once had a guest who sent her salad back to the kitchen because the dressing was too salty, while the waitress, who was also the owner, was in the kitchen getting her another salad. She went to the grocery store next door and got her own salad dressing. She then wanted the cost of the salad dressing taken off her bill. The owner of course said no. Edit. Since a few of you think that this woman was reasonable, I'll give you the longer version of what happened. She never even asked for another type of dressing. She just left and bought another one. If she had asked, then the owner could have appeased her in some way. We made all of our own dressings and I could have whipped her up something that she liked. I've done it before. Besides the fact that she got a store-bought dressing that was loaded with salt. When her salad came out the second time, she complained that the spinach wasn't cleaned of all the veins and stems properly. She ate the whole salad. She complained about the selection of soft drinks that we had and how ridiculous it was that we didn't have Coke. And she wasn't very quiet about it all either. In short, she was an asshole. Just yesterday, I'm a server. I had a table order the prime rib, and when the prime rib came out to her she was extremely mad that her order was not correct. Apparently she wanted the French dip sandwich. Totally the same thing, and yes, I was supposed to know that by ordering the prime rib, a dish we have on our menu. She actually meant the French dip. She wanted her meal calmed. I was slumming it, cooking brunches at a tennis club because I needed the extra cash. Same customer, 2 different incidents. The first time, this woman sent back bacon because it was too salty. I warmed the same strips back up and sent it out to her again. It was much better. She came in the next weekend and sent back her fresh fruit crepes because they were too sweet. Rewarmed the plate and sent it back out. She said it was great. I had dinner with a crazy family friend that refused to eat anything brought to the table. Old country style restaurant, no menus. You eat what they bring out. She insisted that they prepare her special portions of their traditional recipe dishes, prepared precisely how she wanted them, and went back to the kitchen to supervise that they were following her instructions exactly. She told us that she had them remake her vegetables 3 times, with pride. I was 12, and it was my birthday dinner. I've never been so embarrassed. I asked the waiter to take me into the kitchen. I told my folks that after she went back, I wanted to see the big kitchen. What I actually did was apologize to all the cooking and wait staff for my guest. For years I thought my parents didn't know. What I did not know is that the manager stopped my mother on the way out and complimented her on having such a polite child. I was 33 when she told me. The only pizza we have at our restaurant is a simple margherita pizza. One guy had me make him a meat lover / combo pizza with white sauce, which we don't have, so I had to reduce some Alfredo sauce. Took roughly 15 to 20 minutes to make, and he sent it back because the bottom for the pizza was too dark for him. He insisted I cooked it too close to the flames, and that's why it tasted too burnt for him. The issue is we use a 3-deck conventional oven with no flames inside.